Welcome back to Learning to DIY. Today we're going to take a little history lesson. This is a Proto tool actually. It was originally the Plum Corporation, and they had acquired this P&C tool company. It was started by John Peterson and Charlie Carlborg, and in 1942 the Plum Corporation actually hired their first woman worker, and they were making tools for World War II, and they were actually stamped, "These are your weapons," and that was for soldiers working on equipment in the field. Some were stamped with an N, which stood for Norfolk or Navy, nobody knows for sure. But in 1947, that little hex, the P&C hex, that was started, and they added chrome plating in 1950, as you can see it chipping off there. And in 1953, they had that little R stamp. And we know that this was probably made between 1953 and 1956, although some R stamped were still made possibly up till 1960, but most of them were made between 53 and 56. It just depends on the machine. Eventually they did make their own plating factory, because at the time this was made, they were sending out their tools to be plated in a third-party plating factory, and that was a contract deal. So we know this was probably made between 1953 and 56, and eventually in, I think, 1990, they lost two factories over the years, one in the 70s and one around 1990. But Blackhawk tools were also made in the same factory as these P&C tools. And so they were Proto, and then Ingersol Rand actually owned it when P&C tools stopped being made. So, little history lesson, kind of interesting. You just never know the history of some of these tools until you dig a little deeper. So that's our history lesson for today. Thanks, everybody.